believers, when men pursue evil, it is evil that they will find. Mark my words, there is no good that can come from the pursuit of darkness. Let me read to you, dear believer, the words of the late brilliant Charles Spurgeon, who discussed this at length in a sermon all the way back in 1864. He said, quote, "Our adversary, the devil, goes about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. We are taught by our Lord Jesus to pray, do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. What we are taught to seek or shun in prayer, we should equally pursue or avoid in action. Very warily, therefore, should we endeavor to avoid temptation, seeking to walk in the path of obedience, so that we may never be guilty of tempting the devil to tempt us. We are not to enter the thicket in search of the lion. We may pay dear." Shadow nested deep within our hearts, within our minds, in a place most people don't even know exists within themselves. The devil is going to call to those depths, dear believer. And though you may tremble before the beast, you should make it easier on yourself and accept what it is that he bestows upon you.
Pennywise the clown was once the terror of Derry, Maine. He would lurk in the shadows, preying on the fears of children and adults alike. But one night, as he lay in his lair beneath the town, he had a nightmare that would change everything. In his dream, Pennywise found himself trapped in an underground tunnel with no way out. The walls were slick with moisture, and the air was thick with the stench of decay. He tried to claw his way out, but the walls were too strong. Pennywise screamed and raged, but no one could hear him. He was alone, trapped in this dark and dank prison. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Pennywise grew weaker and weaker, until he was nothing but a shadow of his former self. But still, he could not escape. The tunnel seemed to go on forever, twisting and turning in an endless maze. Pennywise began to lose hope. He wondered if he would be trapped here forever. And then, one day, he heard a sound. It was faint at first, but it grew louder and louder. It was the sound of children's laughter. Pennywise felt a surge of hope. Perhaps someone had come to rescue him. He followed the sound, crawling through the tunnel on his hands and knees. But as he got closer, he realized that something was wrong. The laughter was not joyful. It was cruel and mocking. saw them. The children of Derry, standing at the end of the tunnel. They taunted him, throwing stones and jeering. Pennywise tried to reach them, but they danced just out of reach. He realized then that this was not a rescue. It was a punishment. The children had trapped him here in this underground hell. They had taken away his power and left him to rot. Pennywise howled with rage and despair. But it was no use. The children continued to laugh and mock him, until finally they turned and walked away, leaving Pennywise alone once more. He sank to the ground, defeated. He knew now that he would never escape this nightmare. He was doomed to spend eternity in this dark and lonely place. And so Pennywise lay there, in the darkness of the underground tunnel. He could hear the distant sounds of the world above, feel the vibration of the ground underneath, but they were forever out of reach. He thought about all the children he had terrorized over the years, and he realized that this was his punishment for all the evil he had done. And so Pennywise lay there, trapped in his nightmare forever, until he begins to feel the chill in the tunnel turn to freezing. Slowly opening his eyes to fix his gaze at the end of the tunnel, he sees a shadow, and it covers his face like a veil, partly silhouetting and eclipsing the luminous moon. The sounds of the night have all but disappeared, and then the voice filled the tunnel with a whisper that echoed,
"Why so serious?" Well, look who we have here. Pennywise, trapped in your little hideaway. How unfortunate for you, Master of Nightmares.
Ah, the Joker, always seeking chaos and mischief. Why have you come to torment me in my nightmare? Does it please you to see a rival come to such ruin?
As much as it does amuse me to see you this way, you've become of some use to me. Here's a proposition for you. You see, I've heard whispers, rumors even, about your deepest and darkest secret. And oh, how I love secrets.
What secret could possibly interest you, Joker?
Your origin. You know how you've come to be, and who's responsible. We both know what a riddle that has been for those who have come to meet your wrath, both just and unjust. You're not in any position to play coy with me, Pennywise. What you feed on, what fuels your twisted existence is not such a mystery to me. It's fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. And I'm here to offer you an endless supply.
Go on, I'm listening.
It's quite simple, my friend. The condition that I help you is that you meet with someone that also knows something about you. But I don't think that even an ancient Dark Lord like you would ever guess as to how this person could possibly have this information. I tell you myself, and watch the last bit of fight that you have left melt away as you succumb to the mercy of the ghost of yesteryear. Imagine that. As you rot here forever, there's a playground of fear, waiting to be devoured perhaps by none other than your rival Freddy Krueger. What you thought would be your legendary reign of terror would only pale in comparison to Krueger's. What a pity. You and Krueger could have become partners in crime, the embodiment of chaos and nightmares. Of course, I'd make a better partner in crime, but I think the legend that I leave will be perhaps rivaled by all dark forces in Gotham and the underworld. Perhaps you could play a huge role in Gotham if you agree to my conditions.
Tempting, but what's in it for you?
I can see that despite your situation, you haven't lost your ability to be cynical. I would think you'd be more willing to consider my proposition as you continue to slowly rot in the very hell that you've created for so many. Watching chaos unfold, seeing the very thing that you've mastered for so long now dominate you. It's a grand spectacle. But I don't want to ruin it for myself. No. I think that it would be rude of me to wake you up from the most beautiful nightmare you could ever have. And who would be more deserving of that than you, the master of nightmares? Gotham needs a new nightmare, and I don't think old Freddy is the dark force that can help me to bring the reign of nightmares that I want to cause Gotham City.
If I consent to this travesty, then will I be released from this accursed tunnel?
I'll allow her to answer that question.
Pennywise, I'm Bryce Phoenix. You might not believe it from the looks of me, but I am your worst nightmare.
Now, Pennywise, is that a way to greet a lady? Why so serious? Let's put a smile on that face for your most beautiful nightmare.